Hello YouTube, for the third time trying to film this video because I'm being messed with on my phone. So anyways, I wanted to give you guys a little update because I added these two batteries that are 7 amp hour 12 volts back to the system to charge it to see if they retain charge. I also have this here, which is 11 volts 4.6 amp hour, and then there's a lead acid battery in here that's 18 amp hours, and then obviously I got that one. So I got a total of around 46 amp hours of capacity sitting here that I put together in parallel. And so I have three different panels, and um, I've basically got them to work together so that this one is coming off of a Z amp charge controller, 1 amp, 12 volts, and then that ties into this side of the diode on this fuse. That's what that's plugging into. That's a little car fuse, and that's rated for like a few amps or so. And then basically, I have it to where you can see this wire come down here and go across. So that's coming from a separate thing, and that's a buck converter there. And so basically, I just wired the panel directly to the buck converter, and then I have a blocking diode going to the fuse, and then that just comes right out like that. And then as you can see, this positive is tying in, and I just made that little port there. And so I have a few diodes there that are in parallel so that more current can go through um, if it needs to. But I essentially have it to where this positive rail is pulsing and blocked right there to where it goes into this battery. And so this is now switching on the low side with this MOSFET with this Zinger string of diodes set to 13.6 volts. And so this is a little added capacitance because this inverter is tied to this battery, and it always sucks a little bit of life out of it. And so this added capacitance basically negates that overnight. And I also have it to where like there's no bare wires. It's all nice and easy plug and play, even though it looks like a mess because I'm integrating multiple systems together. But anything bare here is obviously ground, right? So no problems. And right now we're charging this guy because this is dead, and we charged these guys up to 13.2 volts. So the system does seem to be working properly and working together, and no battery issues. So these are all lead acid batteries, and so it works together pretty good, even though they're different panels rated for different things, which is why I have three different charge controllers. Essentially, this one is set to 14.5 volts, and then the voltage drop across that diode is like 3 to half a volt or so, and that gets that closer to the voltage on this guy. And I'm effectively, even though I'm wiring this in parallel, it's kind of essentially seeing a smaller voltage on this so that this charge controller can keep pushing power and stay on, but it won't. It'll turn off obviously if it gets too high, and this will turn off at 13.6 volts, and this just holds 14.5 volts, but everything sees around 14 or less volts after that diode. And so everything seems to work pretty good and charge my batteries up to what's good to cycle them. And this is a 144 watt inverter. And I was able to run my phone off of this and charge things with it for like 8 hours straight overnight. But I calculated that it should only run around 1.6 hours at 144 load. So, or 144 watts, I should say. So what that means is I could run a box fan, for example, like that box fan back there. That's a perfectly 144 watts or so, or 140 watt load. And so this inverter can run that or I can charge my phone and turn on LED lights, turn on these compressors or whatever, and that way I can utilize some stuff in my garage without having to use power. And soon I'm going to be integrating a microinverter setup and show you guys how to do that as well. And then we'll also be doing light experiments and recycling energy and trying to see if we can capture infrared light as well as neutrinos with our solar panel, as other people have also done. And I know about certain things in specialty alloys from my previous jobs and studying material science on my own time. And so I've figured out that solar panels can actually run at nighttime and they can resonate and you can get energy from the ether, um, you know, during non daylight hours as well. And so hopefully I can integrate a motionless electromagnetic generator and a little Arduino, maybe off of this guy, and just have a very small USB port coming off of here. That way I don't have to turn on the inverter. It just uses the DC connection, and it's very low power switching, and I'll pulse width modulate my motionless electromagnetic generator with this, and then I can put that into another battery bank. So essentially, if I get more batteries with my motionless electromagnetic generator, I can use a little bit of solar power and I can amplify that and put it in a whole nother battery bank without getting more solar panels. But for now, I'll be integrating a microinverter and trying to mitigate the um, power bill a little bit. And I calculate it's going to come out to around $11 per month of savings with a couple hundred watts added on to my microinverter, which is rated for 350 watts, which I'll try to max out even by potentially um, wiring in parallel to like this main battery or something. So essentially, I'll show you guys. So essentially, I got these two panels, and as you can see, they're wired in series. So series means positive to negative. So this is positive to negative. So that leaves one positive and negative left. So in order to wire it to parallel, I'm going to have to get crafty with how to split it to have another line to the inverter. But for now, this will work to plug straight into my inverter, and that microinverter can plug straight into a wall outlet. But you need to make sure it's a microinverter that's rated for that. So I can plug right in like this. But the thing is, if you just have a normal inverter like this and you plug in, it doesn't have the safety mechanisms to turn off when the grid goes down. So you could accidentally electrocute someone, and that's a hazard. So you don't want to do that. But also another problem is it's just not going to work very well because this phase might not line up. It's just a matter of chance if it lines up with the timing of you plugging it in. So um, basically, you could be canceling energy and creating a lot of heat in the system and just actually making everything worse. So we want to make everything better, not worse, which is why I'm waiting for the microinverter. But if you want to make your own charge controllers with buck converters, capacitors, MOSFETs, Zinger diode strings, things like that, put things in parallel if you want to add capacitance, put things in series like this if you want to increase voltage. You have all the tools. Go for it.